Hey folks, Phil Gallagher of Thraben University here. For this week's Daily D&T, I will be recording my playoff matches for the Format Challenge using basically the same deck list that I recorded for the previous week's worth of D&T. So thank you to Martin T for supporting this week of Daily D&T. This is currently the last week of Daily D&T that's funded, so if you're enjoying it, please consider supporting it in the future. I added a couple of surgical extractions over a deafening silence and a rest in peace from what I was playing with previously. Otherwise, I think I kept everything else the same. Begins now. 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 Okay, there we go. Some results earlier this year from my opponent with Death Shadow Delver or blue-red spells. That's just blue-red Delver. Alright, so I should expect a Delver deck of some nature. It's not 100% sure or anything, but it's the most likely thing. Those results are not recent, though. Some people dislike these. This is a mulligan. Like, literally no matter what deck my opponent is playing, this one is not going to be good. Some people complain a little bit about the start time of these legacy events. It's 11 a.m. In the morning for me, so can't really complain too much about that. The East Coast folks, it's 8 a.m. for them. That's kind of rough. I think it's midday for a bunch of Europeans. Opponent has taken a mulligan after some deliberation. I'll be keeping this hand. It's very, very stable. It's a little tricky to say what I'm going to throw back. I think I'm going to throw back the redundant Stoneforge Mystic here. But obviously the hand was incredibly solid. So I'm going to expose one of my spells to a daze this turn. I think I'm going to let it be the Swords to Plowshares. So the hope is that I draw a land so that I can jam like Thalia on this turn, followed by Stoneforge and Mom on the following turn, or just like another Thalia and Mom, depending on how things go perfect. Really could consider just wastelanding my opponent here as well. Like Wasteland plus Mom. But I really think that I just want to play around, like... Yeah, I'm just going to keep developing my mana here. That's okay. So next turn, I'm going to get to Wasteland them plus Thalia, or alternatively, play Mom plus Thalia, kind of depending on what my draw looks like. Yeah, now that I have more land, absolutely Wasteland. Now we're keeping them off of removal spells and cantrips. They do not have Force plus blue card. that's a wonderful draw. Am I playing that this turn? I think I am playing that this turn in case I draw Wasteland next turn. I'm going to take Sword of Fire and Ice here. The reason being that a True Name Nemesis, if it comes down, will be one of the things that could most easily muck up this game for me. So now we can like kill the Delver with Sword of Fire and Ice, or alternatively do some stuff that involves a Flicker Wisp flip on my next turn. I'm not really sure why my opponent is so aggressively trying to flip this Delver. They may have like Fetch Land plus Gurmag Angler, in which case that makes sense. Alright, no, they've got nothing. Alright, so we are playing against Delver. Grixis Delver specifically. I will probably want all 3 copies of my Council's Judgment. We could play Walking Ballista. It kind of depends on which flex slots my opponent is playing. So, like, I'm definitely going to want the Path, and Walking Ballista and Rest in Peace are those things that are kind of going to be a little bit questionable. I am not going to want Phyrexian Revoker, that's for sure. I'm not going to want Jailer. Just, like, out of the fear of, like, True Name Nemesis or Young Pyromancer going wide of me. And I'm probably not going to want my Recruiters. Megara is also similarly slow. If I make more cuts here, it's Recruiter of the Guard. But I think I'm okay with this. Like, I'm cutting 4 bodies from my deck already. Easy mulligan again. Easy keep. And we'll toss back the Council Judgment. It's a more flexible spell, and it would let us answer True Name Nemesis, but, like, if I'm going to be playing this Thalia as a central part of my game plan, it doesn't make a ton of sense to keep the Council's Judgment. Alright, we didn't just get immediately bolted, so that's nice. Basic Plains, strong magic card. I'm real tempted to just play Thalia this turn, but I'm not going to do that. Punish me by playing True Name. Opponent gets a 2-for-1, and I am going to expose this to Daze. My opponent F6 to a previous turn, so I'm pretty darn sure they don't have a counterspell. Alright. This time I will go to my turn before Path to exiling it, because I can play around Daze on the Path. God, that's such a punishing draw for the line that I took. And they drew the counters. They drew days that turn. So previously they perhaps didn't have something to pair with the force or didn't want to force. Well, I guess I played around the days, which was important. I'm not going to incentivize them to wasteland me because I want to put this Sanctum Prelate into play. So I think I'm favored at this juncture. I shut off a lot of my opponent's top decks. I really think my opponent should have wastelanded me previously. I'm not going to play around like there being a random Snapcaster Mage in this deck. That's a really annoying draw. As is that. It's still worth casting. So this is destroy 3 or less, or bounce anything. That's going to be hard to beat. So I have 2 blanks currently. I'm taking 5. I guess Flicker Wisp can do things. No, the Tyrant Scorn is just going to leave me dead anyway. So I can Swords to Plowshares this and die to the Plague Engineer. Alright, well, we beat 1 Plague Engineer handily. So now that I know my opponent has a couple of those, do I want to change anything? Like, do I want to have access to a Jailer or 2 just to have more removal spells for that? I haven't seen a True Name Nemesis yet. So, like, these 1/1 bodies definitely get worse. I'll diversify, I'll bring in a Jailer and a Ballista. The Ballista can ping an early Delver. We have a medium power level hand. Do I want to just like play around days, or do I want to jam into it? If I just play around it, I can path like whatever threat they play, and then play Stoneforge around days next turn. Since I have 2 more land drops to hit, I don't think I'm in a hurry. Alright, you've got a bunch of reactive cards over there, so I assume this is not resolving. Oh, it is resolving. Stifle. I haven't seen that yet. No, okay. Batterskull forces them to use a removal spell on this. I have Council Judgment for a true name, so I'm not like priced into getting Sword of Fire and Ice. Although honestly, that still may be my best play. I'm gonna get Jitte. I think the ability to just like have some Jitte counters sit on the battlefield is pretty valuable for Plague Engineer reasons. Sure. Do I just want to Path to Exile in response to that? I can Path to Exile if they daze. I just play Mirror Crusader on my turn. So I'm going to expose either Path to Exile or Mirror Crusader to daze. If I expose Path to Exile now, I can still Council Judgment away the Young Pyromancer if Path to Exile doesn't resolve. I'm okay with that. Oh yeah, totally ecstatic about getting a 2-for-1 there. That's actually a fine draw as well. So I'm okay with all of this as long as my opponents like just don't string together like 3 cantrips this turn. This plays into Pierce, but I don't think my opponent has a daze right now. Alright, that's an annoyance. But same thing would have happened to the Mirror Crusader. That's a hell of a draw. So that means when my opponent attacks, they get to kill my Mirran Crusader. Then I'll take 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. Yeah, I'm probably dead to them just hard casting this. So what am I playing towards? I guess I'm playing towards drawing Flicker Wisp for this Batterskull. So if they bolt my Crusader and attack me, I get hit for 7, I go to 2. If I get Flicker Wisp plus Batterskull, I can block this and this, gain 4, take 1, and not die. Alright. They've got it all here, unfortunately. Alright, I'll be back for round 2 in a bit.